Going live. Welcome to the Tesla Talks podcast, folks. Welcome back another week. We have a full house tonight. We have more people than we know what to do with them, but we have special guests. We have our normal Paul and Franklin guys, and I'll say hi to you guys in a second. But let me say hi to the special guests right now. We have Raj from TeslaRaj. You know, Raj, we've waited so long for you to.
I have waited as well to be on this show.
Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence.
Thanks for having me.
And Trevor, a gentleman also that, just like Raj, needs no introduction. Trevor from, it says here Model 3 Owners Club, but we all know.
No. That's my Twitter handle. Everybody knows me on my Twitter handle.
Oh, your Twitter handle. Okay. But you're also known for your Tesla Online group, right?
Obviously. That's right. TeslaOwnersOnline.com, baby.
Yeah, baby, yes. Thanks for coming on, guys. I appreciate it. Paul, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Franklin, thanks for coming on.
Always glad to be here.
Yes. And how's everyone doing with our isolation?
I'm bored.
Good? You're bored?
Yeah, bored.
Resorted to alcohol. So
yeah.
It's come to that. You never drank anything in your life.
The only thing I have to look forward to is Tuesday nights now, Dax.
I gave up soda and took up drinking.
Well, you're on the right podcast. This is like an alcoholic podcast.
I'll have you know, we haven't done that in weeks.
No, we haven't. I'm missing my Moscow Mule.
Yes. Folks, thanks for anyone that's tuning in. As you know, we do this live, but we also put it up. Where is it? Where's my banners here? We put it up on a. Is that where it is? Yep, on the audio version. You can check it out in your car while you're commuting to and from wherever you're going, even though we're supposed to not be driving around. In your Tesla on TuneIn Radio, and of course the podcast is on iTunes Radio or iTunes. So you can check it out there, or you can see the YouTube version. If you're watching live and you have any questions for these group of characters here, just put it down in a comment below, and later on in the show we'll try to get to it, or we will get to it. If you go to the trouble to put a question on there, we will get to it for you guys for sure. So you guys are doing good? You guys ready to start? Anything anybody wants to mention before we get going?
I need a haircut.
Oh. Who said that?
Raj said that.
Raj? Frank?
Okay, so truthfully, I've been doing my own hair for the last 2 years. So I don't really know any kind of...
Oh, wow. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I've gone for job interviews. I've gotten the job doing my own hair. So I mean, I got to be doing something right. So I know a lot of people now are going out crazy trying to buy all the stuff to give themselves haircuts. Meanwhile, I've been good. It's really convenient.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I wish I could do that. I could do stuff in the mirror, but I can't cut the back of my head. Oh, I probably would cut the back of my head. I wouldn't cut my hair. Okay. Now that we've got the hair and grooming edition out of the way, we can get on to our first topic. And with 5 of us in here, I don't know how this layout's going to be when I put the screen shot up here.
Cool.
Oh, there you guys are. You're all there. Okay, our first topic for the night is the Model Y. The Model Y now finally has a tow hitch option. Has anyone
saw that one coming?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we all have. Now, I guess it's some kind of a controversy because the people that already have them, they're not going to be offered one, or are they going to be offered one? Okay, so Raj, you've seen one in the flesh, and you were able to take a good inspection of one.
Yeah.
Can you tell us if those, and what we're roughly estimating from what I heard from everyone, roughly about 3,000 probably have gone out before the shutdown.
Sounds about right.
Do you think those guys are going to be able to get some kind of retrofit?
It's hard to say. I mean, when you take that panel off and look underneath, it was a gaping hole of nothing. Like there was nothing in there. There's nothing I could see that could be affixed to it. Because when you talk about, and anybody on here, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not the expert at tow hitches, as I've never had a vehicle with a tow hitch, but the tow hitch does need to be affixed to the frame of the vehicle. And I didn't see any connecting points. And essentially you would need something that was already connected or pre-drilled that could connect to the frame. So I don't think it's going to be available
No. And the only other person I was going to, you see you putting your hand up there, Trevor. The only other person I was going to say that would know some about this because he's got one on his Model 3.
I will speak to it a little bit because, well, Franklin is also a witness because he helped me when I had my bumper off on the back because I got an eco hitch on my performance Model 3. So we took the bumper off. The Model 3 is definitely designed to have a hitch on the back. It's actually a very simple install to do. You take the rear bumper off. The crash bar, which is this large aluminum extrusion, comes off with 6 bolts, and then you have these 2 stainless steel adapter plates that you remove. And once you remove those 2 plates, you put the eco hitch back on, and it has the same bolts in the same locations where the frame rails go, and you put the crash bar back. So the car is actually designed to have a hitch. I haven't seen the Model Y's bumper taken off yet until Sandy stops moving around and I get a good look at the back, but guaranteed it's the same setup as the Model 3. So
actually, after you say that, Trevor, it is. And that would work as a third-party option.
Exactly. Yeah. However, I will say this. When I bought my Model X, I bought it right at the time when Tesla started offering the trailer or the hitch package included with the car, whereas before it was an option, just like it is now on the Model Y. And my car was, even though I paid for it, and it was not on my bill of sale, it was added as a line item as an IOU. The car was delivered to me without the hitch, and they said when they come in, we will install it for you at service. And sure enough, about a month later or whatever, I got a call. They said, "Oh, we got the hitch. Bring your car in, we'll install it." So whether Tesla offers a retrofit for the Model Y remains to be seen. But for legal reasons, maybe they can't. But I guarantee you, you will be able to install one third party, even from EcoHitch or one of the other guys. So
I think the interesting thing here for me is, and we've seen this from Tesla before, but maybe not this soon, is they come out with something, an improvement. They don't have model years like traditional vehicles, right? So I'm really surprised that they didn't have this at launch, to be honest with you. And if there isn't a retrofit, there might be some people that are disappointed because I know a hitch is very useful to a lot of people. But we see this from Tesla all the time, right? And I think it just comes with the territory of owning a Tesla. It's the best car that you can have today, but tomorrow it might have a better computer on it. It might have a better whatever, right? And I'm okay with that, but I can see people being frustrated perhaps.
Especially if you bought it and it's brand new, right?
Yeah. I've had several people reach out to me, and all I've said to them is said, look, just call Tesla service, make them aware of the situation. If it becomes available, put your name on a list. I mean, you'll have to pay for it. It's not going to be free. Yeah. But at least if it does become available as a service, a replaceable item later on, maybe you can get the retrofit. I don't know. I mean, it's worth a shot.
One of the positives, though, because Trevor and I did it on Trevor's car, obviously, like you were saying before, it's not overly complex to do.
No.
It's not a hard process. So if you had to do a third-party tow hitch, you can do it yourself.
And it will be cheaper.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The hitch on my car cost me $650, something like that. I mean, Tesla wants $1,300 Canadian or $1,000 US.
Yeah, I was just about to mention.
Yeah, you can save a lot of money for sure.
Yeah, and with mine, I mean, I was fortunate because my car came with a new diffuser in the back that actually had, the panel and everything. Mm-hmm. So it was super easy. There was no cutting involved, and it's the stealth one, so it's completely hidden. And when I want to use it, I just 2 little pop-up screws, and then I just put the receiver in, put the bolt in, and off you go. So it looked like nobody knows I have a hitch in the car.
And it didn't take us that long either to do.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Was it like a couple hours or something?
Hours, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was hard to determine because we were doing the trunk lift install at the same time, so we were kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone at the time. But
was there any drinking involved?
Honestly, if somebody if somebody was to approach me and said I want the hitch installed, I could do it in an hour.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I might hit you up on that, Trevor.
I was just going to say I'll be right back.
I could do it in an hour. It'll cost you a couple $100, but I could do it.
I'll be there with my stopwatch.
Yeah, under an hour or in an hour, it's free.
It's like pizza, yeah.
Right, then yeah.
Wait, this isn't the Domino's podcast. Come on.
Okay, moving on to our next topic. Staying in the Model Y vein type of thing. And Trevor touched on it or mentioned his name briefly. Sandy Monroe. he's been tearing apart that car, or at least inspecting it and showing us around. And, you know, we're getting, I don't know about you guys, but valuable information coming out of those little episodes that he's on. I think episode 16 in that screenshot it says there. But anyways, believe it or not, this just came out today, and it almost shocked me at first until I read it. Believe it or not, the Model Y reveals an oil filter attached to the motor. Can you believe that? Does the Model X have one? I mean, the Model 3?
Model 3 drivetrains have oil filters on them.
Does it?
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
This is non-news, fake news.
This is fake news.
Okay, well, according to, and I always forget to do this, so I'm going to try not to. Inside EVs, they thought it was a headline or an article, and they put it right at the top of their page as anyways. In a nutshell, we'll move on to
no comment.
That's
because they had Model Y in the title, and I had the word tear down, so it just seemed like a good way to get clicks.
Yeah, maybe.
If you want a 1,000,000-mile rated drivetrain, you got to have an oil filter of some form on it. So
yeah.
So, but it's not a user, or not user even, but even a maintenance item, is it? Like it's.
Well, that they didn't know.
I will say this: when Ian drove out west to meet me in Vancouver, he did have a message come up on his screen. He told me, it says service the drivetrain, and when he took it in, when he got to Calgary and had the service center in Calgary go over the car, you know, as a once over to make sure everything was good, he mentioned that oil warning came up, and they said, "Oh no, we checked it. It will do that if the car is super cold and the oil's too cold. It gets a little too viscous, and it thinks that it needs to be changed. But as soon as it warms up, it goes away." So there you go.
Oh, I guess when oil freezes, then almost. Yeah.
That's pretty cold.
Before we get off
one day was minus 27, so yeah, it's pretty cold.
I was going to say, before we get off the Model Y topic, because I know Dax wants to jump ahead here, we can stick with the whole theme. We had a question from Matt who said, "Do you think the third row seats on the Y will be front facing or back facing?"
Front facing.
We talked about that.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and we all kind of said back facing. We know Trevor was front facing, so
yes.
Our discussion was basically Tesla has a tendency to change things depending on whatever they think's best. And I know that photo. I don't know if you can find it now, Dax. Sorry to put you on the spot here. That photo. Yeah, you have it.
Because I was the one who took it.
Well, that's convenient.
No, you're talking about the one where Sandy's sitting in it, or
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that photo is, really shows how good it is rear facing. So maybe that's Tesla might have said, "Hey, let's go back to the drawing board. This looks really good." I don't know.
No, that's how they did in the S, right? So.
Yeah.
Can you pull up the screen there, Dax?
I'm looking for it.
I'll send it to you if you want to put it in or something.
I think the thing is that,
I have video of it too.
Obviously, there's prototype, and then what Trevor saw and what some other people have seen is we've seen it all frontward facing, but we all have a hard time believing that. Even the test drive one had it frontward facing, so we all know it as only a frontward facing. Do I think that it's probably better designed to be a rear facing after seeing people climb in there and do it the same way that the ES had rear facing seats? Yeah, I still have a hard time, believing that it was, believing that it's frontward facing. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, but I don't think a full grown adult can sit back there. I mean, that makes more sense,
Has anyone here actually sat in an S with the third row rear facing? Yeah. What's it like?
It's for kids.
It's for kids. But in the context of what you know about it, does the Model Y rear facing like that make sense to you?
Looking at a picture like this, it makes sense. However, I will say this: when I was at the reveal event, got a ride in the Model Y. One thing that they did not do was let anybody sit in the forward-facing rear third row seats, and the second row seats were actually on rails. They can actually be pushed forward to be able to get into the third row. And I think that's a concept that a lot of people are missing. They're assuming that the second row seat in the Model Y, as it stands right now, will not move. So they're thinking, like, how are you going to get into the third row? They do move. They're on rails, much like a Model X is that has the 7 or the 5 seat configuration. I'm talking about the bench seat there, the 6 seat. Obviously, everybody's seen those move. Yeah. So, and then my personal opinion is, and I've tried to put this into perspective. when Tesla showed the Model Y, that was in March of 2019, and then they went to production little less than a year later. You can't be making changes right up to the last minute before you go to production on a prototype, because you've got all this lead time of products and people and processes and stuff that got to come into place. That's very disruptive. That just I mean, throws everything off. So when was the last time, honestly, when you think about it, when was the last time you saw Tesla do a major change to a car from a prototype per production car? I'm not talking about the Model S Alpha prototype from way back in the day. That doesn't count. That wasn't a real car. Honestly, when was the last time you saw them do a major change to a car?
There hasn't been. In fact,
they've never done that.
That's their main like selling point, is that, you know, like, sure, the car that we show at our announcement is like 90% or higher what you're going to see at release.
And I want to throw in one more thing. And Raj, you were witness to this because you got to spend some time with the car. Where the seats go for the third row is where that current extra storage compartment is, that 5 or 6 inches that you have. Now, if you've ever seen a Model X with the 5-seat configuration, it's exactly the same way. That's where those seats go.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, in that little well area.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I tried to make a point of people trying to tell people that are getting a Model Y, if you think you're going to get a 7-seat variant of that car and you're still going to have that compartment, forget about it, because that's where the seats go. It's not going to happen.
You got to give something up.
If you look at that picture with Sandy Monroe, as much as he looks like he fits in there, the one thing that not a lot of people are looking at is, look at how, if you were to imagine now that thing closed, he's going to be about, I would say, 6 inches away from the glass that comes down. It's going to slope right in front of his face. So God forbid you're in an accident. I mean, your forehead is going to hit that glass.
Now, there is a little bit of space here because I do have a video, and unfortunately, it's not going to show too properly, but that's video that I took of the... Sorry, I should have sent it to you in advance.
Do it now.
Do it now? Okay, hold on here. If I can get this damn thing to play.
I mean, if you pop it up on your computer screen, you can share your screen.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's when you took. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Anyways,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that you said that, Trevor, it makes sense, right? That they can't go from like production to major change. Just not going to happen.
No,
well, we know
that
would be like, oh, what are you doing?
Listen, we know that Tesla can make changes very quickly, in production. But my point is, like I said before, when was the last time you saw them make a major change to a car from production intent prototype to prototype?
And that's a drastic change. So,
but when is the rear seat, the third row seat, available?
Next year.
Next year. So, I mean, that's plenty of time.
Anyways,
if they were going to make a change.
I'm just a firm believer that what we saw last year, the prototype, the drivable prototype, is exactly went into production. Minus some minor little tweaks. We got to put a different bolt here or something like that. I mean, the lead times on designing a car is very long. You can't make changes right at the last second. Major changes. I mean, you can change a bolt here or there. It's not that big of a deal, I don't think. But anyways, that's just my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, Trevor. It just, everything...
I wouldn't be surprised.
Looks. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be surprised. It's weird to say, but I fully understand what you're saying, Trev. But you know what? It's actually exciting now because now we have something to look forward to see which way it goes. So
it's like the last thing about the Model Y we still don't know anything about yet.
Yeah, because up to last week it was the hitch, right? And
So what's your thoughts? Mark said, can you convert a 5-seater to a 7-seater? Thoughts on a conversion? Probably not, right? I don't think
No,
so.
there's some people that have done, that had put the kid seats in the Model S before. Rich Rebuilds, for example. Rich Benoit had done it on his. There's a little bit more involved than just putting seats in there. There's an extra crash bar they got to change and stuff. So I don't see retrofits for this because it's never happened on the Model X. So forget about it. You got to buy it with the seat or forget about it.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a 2010 off topic, but a little bit of topic. 2010 Toyota RAV4, and well, this was before I got the Tesla. And it had just a regular 5-seater, but it came in a 7-seater variant, and a buddy of mine had it, and very, very tiny inside, very for the back seat, very, very small. But anyways,
jump seats.
Yeah, no, it was yeah, I guess it was jump seats. It was exactly like how
My brother used to have a pickup that had jump seats that came down from the
Oh
side.
no, sorry, not jump seats, not from the side. It was regular forward facing.
All right.
But all the hardware in mine was there, like little panels, and you can remove the panels on the side, and that's where the seat belts would go in. So anyways, one day I was waiting for an oil change at the dealership for whatever stupid reason I was doing. And I asked one of the service guys, I said, can I get, like, is there a kit? You guys sell it? Can I bring it in and buy it and you guys do it for me type of thing to turn this into a third row? And he looked at me, he goes, we could, but you don't want to. He goes, it's better just to sell the car and buy one. It was just so much involved.
Wow.
That makes sense for a salesperson to say.
No, but he was being honest. He was being honest.
Go to the junkyard and buy one.
Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell. One of the other things, where is it here? It's gone up a little bit. Mark was asking something. Where is it? You guys see the thing? Oh, anyways, somebody, I think it's Mark, in the chat below was asking.
Oh, Mark Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah, if Raj is in Canada, and he happens to be in Canada. He's in Newfoundland right now. You can just look behind him in his window. You can see that white. You might think is sun glare. That's snow.
All snow.
That's all snow. Right above
But the good thing is he's going screeching later. So
yeah.
if anyone knows what that is.
Yes, exactly.
I said he's surrounded by Canadians. It
I
has to count for
guarantee
something.
you he doesn't know what screeching
I
is.
really need to
No.
go get my Canada shirt on.
Anybody watching live know what screeching is? Let us know.
Well,
Be an
screeching?
honorary Canadian.
Yeah. You can't be a Newfoundlander without being screeched in. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
Mark makes a good comment. He says something about Model Y seems to have the best and latest Tesla tech to date, and that's true. Every car that Tesla brings out, the newest car is always the best one that has the best tech.
Yeah.
So that gets me super pumped. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it seems that's the exactly.
Yeah, we know
you
he's
you
going
read
Cybertruck
my
time.
mind, Trev. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It gets me super pumped for the
Oh, yeah.
Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Because just imagine what's gonna be in that puppy that we don't even know about yet.
I've been told that there's, and I don't have any details, but I've been told that there's extra stuff about the Cybertruck. I think Raj even said that too at one point. Yeah. There's extra stuff we don't know about yet.
Yeah. There's going to be a whole lot more.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, Raj. You look like you're like can't say something. It's just
You know the lip sealed emoji?
it's just
You do
five
that
of
in
us,
real life.
buddy. It's
My
just
lips
five of
filled emoji.
Finish your drink and start talking, Raj.
Yeah,
He's drinking the hard
that
stuff.
drink.
I think we can-
Or just
You and
spill the
my hair.
beans. It's not like this was live streamed or anything.
No, it's
Yeah.
not live. It's not live.
Not like Elon's watching.
No.
I will kill you.
Speaking,
No, but I do think that, the amount of stuff that's in the Cybertruck already, right? If just given as it is what it is, as what was announced, it's going to be amazing. I think that there's so much potential and possibility because you're now not dealing with a standard car. You're dealing with a utility vehicle that is going to be used by, from all different types of people, from people using it for work, construction, even daily drivers, whatever, that there's so much more you could build in. And then not only build in, but so much more accessories, right? We already saw pictures of like the camping kit, the kitchen kit. Like there's just going to be so much. As long as they have the stuff internally to support it all, they'll be good. So I'm sure that the team is all working on accessories and different types of modes and features and things that it can do. And I'm sure that when we see it, there's going to be a lot more that wasn't talked about because a lot of the stuff's going to have to go through testing, right? To just see, does it make the end cutoff or not, right? So,
Well, Elon did say on Twitter the Cybertruck was going to have some sick accessories.
I was excited for the Model Y, but I can tell you with the Cybertruck, I've never been more excited for any other vehicle.
yeah.
Right? Like I cannot wait. And we were talking last week, but I wanted to ask Raj and Trevor, just to see who has the lowest reservation number. So I'm 36,000.
you pull mine out. Hold on.
Right?
Good question.
So,
Well, Raj and I were in line.
All right.
Pull them out, boys. Pull them out.
I think Franklin beat
That's what
us,
he
right?
said.
All right.
So-
Everyone lay them on the table. Let's see.
So
Hold on.
when they were doing when he was showing it, I already had like 10 people over my house. We're all watching it, all Tesla owners in the area, and everyone's like freaking out and excited. I'm there, I have my phone out, Tesla.com/Cybertruck because it follows the same pattern of every other release.
Of course. Yeah.
And I was smashing refresh, page not available, And just before he even made the announcement of the website, I was already like had it loaded, putting in my info, and sent my payment through. So,
well, now this might just get me kicked out of this. Just be honest.
Not at all.
I'm getting it first. U.S. Come on.
Yeah.
So they always have the Canada hate when actually it should be released in Canada first. Because who's going to take it through the snow? I'm just saying,
I am.
No,
Well,
I'm gonna beat the hell out of this thing.
I told them.
that's a Seinfeld thing. If anyone didn't pick up on that,
I was telling them last week I got to move to the U.S. Get my U.S. citizenship. I
you got a couple years, buddy. Yeah.
I'm like,
beat Raj to it.
I'm considering it. Go move to California for a couple of years.
Just
take
for
delivery.
a truck.
Just take delivery and then drive it back.
That is dedication right there.
I'll say.
There were a lot of people that want it first.
What number are we looking at?
I don't know. Last 4 digits? 3, 4, 5 digits?
Last 5 digits. Well,
90.
depending. Last
92, 800, something like that.
92, 800. Okay.
But I don't know where the number started.
Yeah,
that's
somebody
the thing.
reverse engineered it. It's like
So I'm after Trevor because I know that he ordered way before me at the event. Because at the event I saw it and I was like, I'm not buying that. In fact, till today, my wife still is like, you're not buying that. So I've got.
my wife still says that.
Actually, you were there. When did you place your order?
When we're
right
in line, waiting
In
for
line?
the drive.
Oh, okay.
I'm 97,803.
I'm not even pulling mine up because I don't know. But to answer your question, Trev, I placed my order when we got out of the building, when we all funneled out to go in the back to wait in line. That's when I
I did too.
But
okay. Right.
Raj, let me rain on your parade a little bit. Maybe, possibly. Missouri. That's a lot further away than you are. Missouri has put together a package. I don't know how this is. $1 billion package for the Cybertruck Gigafactory. Now, talk about enticing. Now, this is from Inside EVs. I keep forgetting to mention where these articles are coming from, but it has to do with some business guy, some leader. His name is somewhere here. Toby Teeter. He's the one that first, back in March 10th, had mentioned it to Elon and said, you know what, on a tweet, said, we can do it. And I think at the time it was only a few 100,000. I read the article, but I forget all the numbers that were involved. And he's got 100 acres that they were going to give to not give, or I guess sell, or whatever the thing was. For now it's 1,000 acres and it's $1 billion deal. I mean, what do you guys think? Is there anyone else that could have a sweeter offer than this?
12-year tax break.
Yeah, it's Joplin.
Well, okay. Let me throw this out. What about Toronto? Now, don't laugh. Don't laugh. With the exchange rate, you're saving 40%, maybe more off the top. I don't know. That's pretty appealing, right?
It ain't gonna happen. But I wish it would, but it ain't gonna happen.
I'm a dreamer. I just thought I would throw that in.
Do you remember back in 2013 when Tesla actually had to have a competition to get the states to compete against each other to give them incentives? Now they're just falling all over each other to give them incentives to come.
Yeah, I know.
What a change.
So what does that tell you?
People want Tesla. They want jobs.
It's
the only car company that's actually making any money right now, and it's actually increasing market share. What more do you want?
Yeah.
Well, any way you slice it,
Speaking of
it's going to be a good deal.
What did the stock do today, anyways?
The stock did very well, but we're going to save that topic for
all right. Sorry.
No. You can talk about it. I'm just saying we got a question from a person that emailed a question for us, so we're going to touch on that topic. We're going to save it for a while. So
Doug Ford will make it happen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody have any more comments about the Cybertruck factory possibly going in Missouri?
Well, I think there's a number of us here from the GTA. We should start digging and put together our own package.
Let's do it.
Sure, I got
$10. I think $10.
I got 125 on it right now. There
you go.
Look at that pretty money.
$1 billion Canadian dollars.
Go fund me.
We're gonna start a GoFundMe. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, Trevor, that 125 in your pocket is worth $50. Yeah. So keep going.
I mean, I don't know too much about Middle America. I have never been to Kansas City or Arkansas.
All you have to do is watch Ozark. You'll get everything you need to know about
I love that show.
Fair enough. I've seen that.
The best meal I ever had my entire life was in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm just saying.
Hey, my parents lived there for 2 years. Where was it at?
It was awesome, man.
Really?
Great steak.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they can put Marty and Wendy Bird in charge, and everything will be all good, right?
Under the money right in.
That's right.
Do you guys know anything about their politics there? Because Mark said it might be an issue, or is it going to be an issue? That's what his question was. So I don't know. I'm not.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know much about it. So
Missouri politics going to be an issue.
Yeah. Well, you're the American here. Come on, help us out.
Well, I still have my money on Austin, Texas, personally.
Yeah.
I love Austin. That's another great American city.
Keep it weird, man.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I want Central U.S. just because it's closer to us, so we might be able to get it quicker.
Pick it up.
Yeah, that was my whole argument towards Raj's.
Not for California. Give us the cars first.
Yeah.
If they really want some real 4x4 winter testing, they'd put a factory closer to us.
Sure. Bring it up here, man. We'll put it through its paces.
Yeah, so not much more to add.
Okay, moving right along, we're going to talk about what was on a lot of people's minds at the beginning, but I think this week or last week, Elon sort of put a damper on it. Talking about Battery Day, the investor stuff. Now I think it was somebody, I don't know if it was a Third Row Tesla guys or somebody asked him about Battery and Powertrain Investor Day, and he replied saying just Battery Day, but it will be great. Plaid Powertrain will be later this year. So it seems like and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't know. Were they both supposed to be together in the first place? And now that he's separated it?
I think the intent originally was he said battery and powertrain investor day originally.
Okay.
So this is news to us that they've decided to split it up.
Okay. And I think, was it last week we were talking about it, guys? Somebody had asked if it's going to be still in April or when it was going to be, and we speculated and stuff like that. Well, I guess we were wrong about the 420. It's not going to be. Now it's going to be May. And obviously May is not even, did he say May? He didn't say
he said mid-May.
He said mid-May.
I also think too, just the way things are at right now, it's, who knows, right? Everything might be just streamed too. So I guess they could potentially have it, but then there's still a lot of people congregating in the same room, so.
The other thing you got to keep in mind is Elon's very aware of the Osborne effect. The last thing you want to do is introduce or talk about a product and kill your sales in the process.
Yep.
The Plaid powertrain, we know that's for the Model S. I mean, it was originally designed for the Roadster, and it's going to be in the Cybertruck and it's going to be in the Model S. But that's not planned until a little bit later. So splitting it up probably means that we don't want to kill the sales of the Model S. So let's put that over here, and maybe the battery tech is pretty much ready for some kind of mid-cycle refresh for one of the other cars, and they're ready to do it now. Because the last thing you want to do is start talking about a new battery and kill the sales, unless it's really designed for the S and the X, and because the sales are not all that great right now, maybe they won't miss the sales quite so much. I don't know.
Or if it's imminent.
Well, exactly, and that's why I'm saying there are ramifications with announcing stuff and talking about this tech before it's ready. And if you go back a year ago when Tesla was talking about hardware 3 during the autonomy investor day, the cars were already had those computers in the cars.
That's what I'm thinking about battery.
Right? Exactly. So
what
that's
if,
what I'm thinking.
what if like all the Ys already have that new battery in it? And it's just, we don't know, right?
We don't really know. Kyle over at Out of Spec seems to think it's the same battery. He's done a rough test, with Brian at I1 Tesla, and seems to think it's the same battery capacity. And then you got Brooks, who's running it with Scan My Tesla, and he seems to think that it's a little higher capacity. So we don't really know. Sandy will be the one to take it apart and really know. But I think that he just hasn't gotten around to the battery at this point. So I don't know. I'm a personal believer that it's the same battery as the Model 3 at this point.
So I was going to say, Trevor, you brought up a good point. They do a really good job at not, like any new vehicle they showed the Model Y, but even at the reveal of it, they did a really good job still pushing Model 3 sales. Because kind of like downplaying the Y up until it was ready for production. So they're really good at like even when they revealed the 3, their sales of S's and X's were still doing really well at the time because the 3 event was kind of underwhelming. And then as they got closer to ramp, that's when they started really
talking about it a little bit more. I think Model Y is the same way, because if you really think about it, here in North America, we're nuts about SUVs. And the last thing you want to do is kill your demand for the product that's actually floating the boat right now. And that's really Model 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
don't talk about Model Y. Don't even, I mean, when it goes into production, just say, okay, fine, you can buy it now, but don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to kill the cash cow, and that's Model 3.
Yeah. So I'm saying they do a really good job with that.
Oh, they did an incredible job with it. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
They've always downplayed things in a lot of ways. I mean, the Model 3 reveal got a little out of hand because, honestly, if you think about it, I mean, we're talking about a mass market car. Yeah. Mass market, I mean, mass volume, not price-wise, but you know what I mean? So people were excited about that. And the Model Y, people are excited about it because it's an SUV using Model 3 tech. But you know, going back to the Cybertruck thing, I mean, that's the one that's got everybody's blood boiling right now, because that's the one that's really going to have all kinds of really new stuff. You can't have a $40,000, 250-mile Cybertruck with all that tech in it without some kind of battery breakthrough on technology and price, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more going on, and I think that's really where the battery tech, at least in my opinion right now, is really being focused on. Now, whether it shows up in the other two cars, you know, I think if you talk to anybody who's been watching Tesla, you know, the sales of the S and the X are down considerably, and they're the two cars right now in the lineup that need the biggest refresh. You know, if you're gonna keep the cars around, you got to do something. If you don't care about it, okay, fine, let it go. But they're looking pretty old in the tooth in a lot of ways. I mean, the Raven update was nice, but it wasn't the interior. I think a lot of people are waiting for the interior refresh, which is going to happen.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. But if you look at the tech, the Model 3 has a better battery. It has, you know, better HVAC system. I mean, there's so much stuff in the Model 3 that's so much better. It's just like, oh God, like at what point are you going to put this in these two cars?
Well, I think the S and X right now are the highest margin cars that they have, right? That they're making.
Yeah, but Model 3 profits are eclipsing those cars by a wide margin now.
No, it's sheer volume. Yeah, for sure.
Volume,
for sure. Yeah.
And so Ryan said, what's interesting, China's range is spec'd at 625, but they're saying it's the way it's rated in China versus the EPA.
Yeah,
but could it be a different
WTLP
battery?
Is what they use over there, and it's BS.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Just like the NDEC or the one that they use in Europe is bullshit.
But you know, like Elon and team always have this knack of pulling a rabbit out of a hat, right? So what are the odds that there is additional capacity that they're able to get out of the existing tech that's already in the Model 3s? I know they've done it twice already. Is there any more, do you think, that they can squeeze out of it?
I don't know.
I'm not going to say no because they've done it twice.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be a fool to say no, definitely, yeah.
If you told me before we did it the first 2 times, I would have said you're crazy. The first time, but
yeah, I think if you look at Tesla's history of doing the upgrades on the Model 3, I think they were, I mean, it's a completely new drivetrain. So they want to have a certain amount of miles and you know, reports in terms of reliability and service before they actually, I mean, once they get a good handle on it, then they can come back and they make some more tweaks. Don't forget the semi-truck, which is the one they've been testing the longest now, because of course with that car, you can't go to market without having good testing because those customers won't tolerate anything less. It uses the same drivetrain as Model 3. I mean, slightly modified motors, right? But that drivetrain is really rated for 1 million miles. So I'm sure they're getting a lot of data back and they're going, okay, well, what if we do a little tweak, you know, in the inverters and do this and do that? And then, you know, they can release that as a paid upgrade. I mean, they do paid upgrades now that we got a couple of free upgrades, but who knows what else they can tweak with the cars as they go. I mean, they're very good at the software thing, which is pretty apparent compared to everybody else.
Yeah. Tesla MD said, I'm predicting 100 to 150 kilowatt Model 3Y. What do you guys think? 100, 150?
In a way?
Pretty awesome.
For a 3-in-1
at a minimum.
I could see them do that on the Model S. We know it's going to have a bigger battery, that's for sure.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
It's just like what direction did they take with the Model S? Do they actually redesign the battery completely, or did they just use, you know, Model 3 cells and a new BMS and a new architecture in it? The architecture, if you look at the architecture of the S battery and the Model 3 battery, other than the fact they use cylindrical cells. It's a different arrangement. It's a different module setup. It's all these other things. Elon's even said that going forward, they're going to get rid of modules completely. Just going to have a box, throw a bunch of cells in it, wire them up, not even have a cover, because the cover is actually the car now. It doesn't make any sense to do that, because the cars are originally designed to have swappable batteries. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. So they're looking at efficiencies down the road, right? So if you're looking at the Model S and let's say they put a better battery pack in there, what are they doing? Are they actually redesigning the car to handle a bigger battery, or are they just making a slightly bigger battery pack in terms of height? Because I would surmise they'd probably get another centimeter out of that without affecting the ride height of the car. You put 2170s in there, which are, which have 50% more volume than the outgoing 18650s. It got new chemistry. What does that lead you? 120 kilowatt hour battery pack? Probably, very easily. But we don't know. I mean, how many resources does Tesla have to actually undertake redesigning yet another car? I mean, Model Y is done now. They're on to other things.
Yeah.
Well, they have to redesign the back seat first. Just kidding.
Well, with density improvements, who knows? Maybe they can get the 100 kilowatt battery the same size as the 75, right?
Well, rumor going around is that this battery day, they're trying to get a battery stuffed into there, whatever this battery is.
Yeah.
Trying to get it in there as a demonstrator, at least at first. But I don't know. I'm a firm believer in the Osborne effect, that don't announce something unless you have something to sell right away, because you're going to kill yourselves.
Yeah. We all agree on that.
Yeah, and I agree. And you touched on something going way back, probably about 10 minutes ago, Trevor, when you're talking about the Plaid motor and stuff like that. And the Plaid motor came up in some conversation from Elon this week. And this isn't one of the topics that I sent you guys, but you got me thinking about that. And I was watching Now You Know, and Zach and Jesse were talking about how Elon was saying his favorite, or his Tesla vehicle that he will be driving will be the Cybertruck. And we were talking about how it'll be Plaid and stuff like that. And they were speculating, think that it may be quad motor. Does anyone think that it will go that far?
Plaid is the code name that Tesla uses for the tri-motor setup, period.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Whenever he says
I thought maybe
Plaid,
I was missing something.
he's just referring to the tri-motor setup. So his Cybertruck is going to be the tri-motor.
So someone said that, and they said, is it just the tri-motor? And I believe he responded saying, no, there's a little bit more to it than that.
Oh, maybe that's okay. Maybe that's what Zach and Jesse were thinking of then.
Yes. Well, that's true. It's more than that, but
yeah, somebody was saying that basically, does Plaid mean that there's there's more motors, or that it's the tri-motor setup or whatever? And he goes, no, tri-motor is tri-motor, but Plaid is definitely some tweaking that he's done, software and probably other little things in there that really kind of is hitting the top notch of.
Well,
so do you think it's just a software change, or do you think there's hardware changes in there? Because if it's software, if you order a tri-motor, you can always upgrade to a Plaid if it's just software, right?
Maybe a bit of both.
We might see a Plaid variant of the tri-motor car.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do, well, let me put it to you this way, because Tesla is very much a hopscotch company. So if I'll explain what I mean by that. When they release the Model S, because Model S with the Plaid is going to come out before the Cybertruck. So if we see a performance Model 3, and then we see a performance Model 3, with the same tri-motor setup, but it has a Plaid drivetrain, there's your takeaway right there. They'll have two variants of it. I don't know. Maybe they'll just have a tri-motor, they'll call it Plaid, and then they'll keep the performance Model S and then call it a day. So I think when they get around to updating the Model S with the Plaid powertrain and however they structure it, that'll be probably your answer right there, because that's typically how they operate.
I'm really surprised that there's so much confusion from Elon's tweets. He's usually so concise when he says.
I think he's concise to the point of being cryptic, and people read too much into it, or he doesn't explain himself too much.
Oh yeah, I was being.
But part of that too is that Elon's. I mean, if you watch Elon, and I'm sorry to take over the conversation here, but
no, buddy.
Sorry.
I want you on this podcast because you're a wealth of knowledge.
If you watch Elon interviews, you can tell he's a kid in a candy store and he wants to talk, but he knows he has shareholders.
Holding back.
Holding back.
And he's gotten better too, right? Yeah. If you think back, like he's slipped up quite a few ways, and you can definitely tell that
last year's fiasco with the with the
Yeah.
secured and everything
He
has
learned
really
a lot
shut him
from
up.
that.
Yeah. He's not as active on Twitter as he used to be. He's the meme king now.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, oh yeah, he does do a lot of memes. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things where when he answers, I was being sarcastic when I said he's very thorough and very concise in his tweets. When he answers people with those 1 or 2 word answers, yeah, it's obviously open for interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I used to follow Apple so closely and try to figure out what they're reading between the lines. I don't care anymore because they're so predictable. But Tesla is fun to watch because it reminds me of the old, early Apple days. Raj, you probably agree with me on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Franklin, you probably don't. Moving
Franklin,
right along.
Apple, what's Apple?
Okay, listen. I still followed all their changes and stuff that they've done. I'm not like oblivious. I just don't own any Apple products. Okay,
And that's
funny.
fine.
You
Just
can
like
continue.
I don't own any Ford products either. So.
Apples on your desk with a lot of pins stuck into it.
No, but I'll tell you, Ross, she did want to buy an Apple to run it over. I'll tell you that.
I said my last video ever do on my channel will be me running over an iPhone. Because after that, I can't top that video. There's nothing else to do.
Mic drop. Walk away.
Wait a minute. Last summer, you asked to borrow an iPhone from me.
Hey, the OnePlus 8 just came out.
There's a reason for that,
Yes.
Paul. There's a reason for that.
He was going to make his last video.
And Mark already did a review on it.
Yeah, you can tell it came out because every YouTuber is doing a review on it.
Yeah.
Moving right along, I think we've nailed that one to death. And TeslaRaj article about Tesla dominating the Kelly Blue Book Image Awards. And like when I say dominating, I think they had got 5 out of 6 categories. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to try to read this really quick. The categories that they did get, and I think they just missed out one. I think it went to Lexus or something like that, or Toyota. But they got best luxury brand. They got best overall luxury. No, that's the same one. Oh, best value luxury brand, most refined luxury brand, and best performance luxury brand.
And best styling.
And best styling, yes. So the only other one that they didn't get was the most trusted award, which I think by next year they should probably get.
Make it a sweep.
Now,
Yep.
the reason I bring this up is like, what other, and please correct me if I'm wrong, either at home or on the panel here, because I haven't followed Kelly Blue Book that much, but what other auto manufacturer do you know that has swept it or dominated any kind of, whether it's what's it up here in Canada, Trevor, the CJAA or something like that, or there's some other award or certification up here in Canada.
Couldn't tell you.
But there is, I forget what it is. But Kelly Blue Book, I mean, it's pretty reputable. I mean, to have a awards 5 out of 6 like that says something. But my question is, do you think that the masses, like the people that are driving gas vehicles, like does this translate or trickle down to them so that they can see it? Like, I know you're not going to see it on 6 o'clock news, but like, how do we get people, like you've always said, butts in seats, but how do we get people to know this so they can wrap their head around how good these vehicles are?
Well, we've said it many times before. Butts and seats.
Butts in seats, yeah.
It's the only way. It's the only way. I have a problem with this in the sense that Tesla's still being hung onto this luxury thing. I mean, the Model 3, as nice as it is, I mean, it's in Mercedes, and Audis, A4 territory, but they're still plugging this luxury thing. I mean, I still get people on the street and say, "Oh, you own a Tesla?" I'm like, "Oh, God, you must be a rich guy." I'm like, "Oh, here we go again."
Yeah, me too. My friends outside of the Tesla community, same thing. It's like I try to explain to them, if I had your money, like paying for gas and everything, and it just so happens in the past few weeks, gas has been cheap.
Well,
but,
I just learned to pick my battles, but.
Well, Matt raises a question here about resale value and how this might translate into resale value. And this is a good question because we were going to trade in our Model X for a Model Y. I said that on last week's show. But, Tesla really was not offering a fair trade-in value. So I'm wondering whether the resale market that is not a trade-in if the Tesla vehicles are maintaining their value and how this might contribute. I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on that.
Okay. Did you try to trade in your Model X, or did you sell it privately?
No, I sold it privately because
Yeah.
I knew that Tesla was going to go on the low ball, because Tesla's
Yeah.
not interested in being in the used car business.
Yeah.
Right.
They just send them off to auction. They're not interested. So private is always the best way to get the most value for your dollar, especially if that's what you're looking for. If you want to trade it in, well, that's a convenience thing. I mean, because nobody
It is a convenience
walks
thing,
up.
yeah.
I mean, it's strictly about convenience, right?
Everyone knows.
When I sold my Model X, I got on the low side of what I thought was acceptable to me.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I think even though Model 3 actually has a very good resale compared to the other Teslas,
Yeah, they do.
mainly because there's still a lot of demand for the car. So I think most people that are looking at selling those cars are still probably getting better dollar for those cars than an S or an X. I think there's several aspects to that. It's newer technology, but don't forget, Tesla is also seen as very much a tech company. So the tech moves very quickly. So for some people, well, before I say this, you also got to look at the Model 3. It hasn't had as many iterations as the S and the X have. Right?
True.
The S and the X have gone through, AP1 and AP2 and AP3 and, lots and lots of changes, right? And because there's so much tech in these cars, the S's and X's have actually lost a lot more value than they normally probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like
Specifically
computers.
with the launch on the 3, right? Because if you had sold
Exactly.
it right before the 3, you probably would have gotten a significant more.
Exactly. And on the 3, we haven't seen that many variants of the car. We got, standard range, we got long range and stuff, but that's just the battery thing. It's not really so much the tech everywhere else, hardware 3 with notwithstanding. So I think
Think about that too, right? I got the newest hardware in my car now, which
exactly.
Right, so it's not like you're missing out on anything.
And not every S and X has the MCU 2, which is another thing that people are looking at.
That is a problem.
Right?
I can
that was
attest
a
to
problem
that.
for me, right? Me too, same thing.
But I will say this, that even despite, saying that, there are all the non-Tesla people that are looking into getting into Tesla and maybe looking at a used vehicle with the mindset of ICE vehicles that, I had mine up for about 2 weeks, maybe. And then I got asked, oh, well, what year is it? And I was like, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's exactly like one you'd pick up today. And then, just not knowing that, hey, what does full self-driving mean? What does it mean to have hardware 3? Just like, sure, a lot of people tell me your accessories mean nothing. Fine. All right, take all that out of there. But, as far as like, hey, this comes with full self-driving. Or, I got a lot of people saying like, well, this is the price of an all-wheel drive today. Or this is the price of a performance today. And I was like, listen, let me price it out. And I went on the website and it was clearly a $7,000 difference. And I'm like, you're not even factoring in full self-driving in there. I don't think people realize that full self-driving is $7,000. And that's an additional charge that you'll have to pay if you want to take advantage of any of those, Summon and, some of the features that are coming soon.
Don't worry about self-driving. I can get it for cheaper. I know a buddy. That's probably what they think, right? People that aren't in the Tesla world, they have no idea.
It's very much an education process. I mean, you got people they have to educate to buy the car, and then when you go to sell it, unless they're already a Tesla owner, it's an education process all over again.
Yeah.
So some of the comments here are saying the year applies for insurance and warranty.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, for warranty.
What's the Trevor? Maybe you know this. What's the warranty on the 3?
It's 4 years, 50,000 miles, or 4 years, 80,000 kilometers. Yeah, it's pretty standard.
The battery powertrain, so to speak, has a longer.
That's
warranty.
different. Yeah, that's different. Actually, even on the S and the X now, they've actually rescinded some of their warranties. So
yeah, it's not lifetime anymore.
No.
And going back to the whole luxury thing, Tesla MD mentioned, if you look at the cost of the best-selling vehicles, Corolla, Civics, etc., Tesla is more or less in the luxury segment, I'd argue. So he's going based off the initial cost that you're paying up front.
That's true.
See, but
so does that make my Toyota Tacoma luxury then? Because it's the same price as a standard range plus.
Well, see, and that's just it, right? I know we're going to go on like a totally different topic here, but I've done so much math on this, and like if you own a Tesla and you drive X number of kilometers per year or miles, depending on this in the US, one of those countries, one of 3 countries in the world that use miles still. It's actually like a lot cheaper than the initial price, as we know, right? So it's hard to compare its starting price to ICE vehicle starting prices because of the cost savings over time. Mm-hmm. So even though you're starting at a higher base price to begin with, obviously over time you're going to be saving quite a bit, right?
Yeah, but that mentality that people have been ingrained as, you know, how much is this thing going to take for me to drive it off the lot today? They don't think about total cost of ownership.
No,
because the maintenance and the fuels those are known things. They set it aside. With purchasing an EV, you have to do that calculation. But here's the nice thing: when you sell the car, those savings follow the next owner.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's something when you're selling your car, you got to take that into account. And that's something you have to discuss with the person too. Right. Yeah. You're gonna follow those savings because you're not paying for the fuel and the maintenance anymore. I mean, well, the maintenance might be, if it's out of warranty and stuff. But the fuel follows. It follows the car.
And I'll tell you, like, I'm under 30, right? And we started working this past year. A lot of people are like, wait, how'd you get a Tesla? Like, you know, they start asking questions. When you start like explaining to them how much money, like if you look at the whole overall picture, then the wheels start turning and they're like, wait, maybe I can get one of those, right? So I started showing them. Well, too bad everything that happened. I was actually supposed to go out and show like 2 or 3 people in my car over the last during our March break. People that were interested, ready to make a deal, right?
Aren't we still in March break? Never mind.
The other thing about a luxury vehicle is kind of subjective, right? About how it's appointed on the inside, for example. And for me, I really dig the modern minimalist interior, right? So to me, I don't really care that it doesn't have a ton of buttons and, you know, some velvet whatever here on the sides, right? So to me, the tech is the luxury.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense to you, right?
I was actually looking at Model S's to trade my 3 in. I know it sounds, but one of the reasons why I didn't go for it, one of the reasons why I didn't go for it, believe it or not, was just purely because of the fact I didn't want to have another screen in front of me, and I didn't want to have all the extra buttons and stuff. I really enjoy the simplicity of the Model 3.
Yeah.
Maybe I got really used to it or whatever, but
yeah, that brings up a lot of points because a lot of people equate buttons with luxury.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Right? And there's something about Tesla's mid-century modern design ethic that appeals to a certain segment of people. And I think you have to let go of the luxury thing of having 70 different tactile elements in the car. And you need to separate that. And Paul is absolutely right. I think the luxury part, as far as I attribute it to in the Tesla, is the tech. The tech is what sets it apart about everything else. It could have plastic seats for all I care, but the tech makes all the difference in the world. And that's what really, I think for a lot of people, if you were to take away the over-the-air software updates and largely the supercharger network, the car's not worth buying.
Oh, you heard it here first. No,
Sorry.
I know.
But those are the 2 things that really set Tesla apart from everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't own one if it wasn't for the tech. Truthfully.
Exactly.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to save the world, but I'm just kidding.
The world can only save itself so many times.
Let's move on to another topic. We're reaching the 1 hour mark, and I like to keep it around that just because you know me, I don't like to talk a lot. So moving right along, Franklin, don't say a word, please. There was a terrible crash here. Roger would know, and anyone that's in the U.S. probably would know. Or outside. There was a terrible crash yesterday involving a Toronto police car and a Tesla, and it was put into my Facebook group, and there was a long discussion about it. Now, the reason I bring this up, hopefully everyone's fine, and from what I understand, people are going to be fine, which is good because the one driver in the Tesla is in the safest car in the world. But my question and the debate that came up involving this, other than the safety of and the well-being of everyone involved, was whether Tesla, the Model 3, would have dash cam footage of the accident. And some people were saying, well, if he had a USB stick in there, if he was like using the dash cam feature, and some people were saying, well, no, it should record even if they didn't, because Tesla streams it or spools it internally inside in their memory, and they can upload it to themselves if needed, or to authorities if needed. And there was a 50-50, quite polarizing conversation, almost down to a heated argument. So I'm going to ask you guys. You guys are the experts. You tell me who is right and who is wrong. Is there such thing as that in all Teslas if you don't have a memory card installed?
Okay, so your data gets sent back to Tesla, but not video data, because that's way too much information to be streamed constantly. What the data that gets sent back to Tesla are things like the prompt that comes up on your wheel to say whether you're holding it or not, something like that. Yeah. They know exactly how long you've touched your wheel, and maybe the prompt doesn't come up because let's say it's every 30 seconds, you touch it every 20. Tesla will still know you only touch your wheel for 20 seconds. So they're going to receive all that data constantly all the time. But actual raw video footage, I can't see them receiving, just because of the sheer amount of bandwidth that they'd have to withhold. And that's a lot of file storage data file storage data is expensive, right?
Yeah.
They also get all of the telemetry data, though, as well, right?
My understanding is with autopilot, when there's a disengagement, that gets logged. And when Tesla needs extra data from the fleet to do edge case analysis, they will go to the cars and say, okay, we need to find out, okay, you mislabeled such and such a thing at such and such a place, send us that. And sometimes they can request clips from that data. But as far as the dash cam stuff, that's not sent back to Tesla as far as an accident's occurred. There have been some cases where S's and X's with AP1, very early hardware data, would store like low quality GIFs in the car. sorry, semantics.
You're aging yourself.
Yes, I know. Because Jason Hughes, their WK057, they're on Twitter, is a very good Tesla hacker, and he has pulled data out of those cars from crashes. But I'm not aware of any Model 3s that actually store that data from crashes. I'm not saying that they won't in the future and that they couldn't, but the constant streaming thing, that's too much bandwidth. I mean, that's why we got to pay for data now.
Yeah.
Right. There was a time and a place where they could bundle it in the cars, but Tesla's been saving money in all kinds of places, eliminating auto dimming mirrors and taking all kinds of stuff out of the cars now. So yeah, absolutely, there's too much data to be doing that on a constant basis.
And we don't track,
and we have to assume that people, not everybody knows that there's a dash cam feature in the car.
Yes.
I mean, we're all tech people.
Yeah,
we get it. We read the release notes.
Yeah. Wasn't there somewhere that it said that I don't know if it was like a leaked rumor that Tesla was going to start including a USB drive that was just like built in so that you don't have to worry. You start going.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Because
for people who aren't tech people, right?
Yeah, because ideally, someone gets in the car, something happens, and then maybe just pop up on the screen, say access footage here, or like it. I have talked to a lot of people that they were like, well, how can I see the video running on these dash cams or these cameras? And they have no idea. And so like that's why, like one of my things in my orientation video was like, first thing you do, get a USB drive, pop it in there, right?
Yep.
Format it. Here's the instructions, and put it in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No. One of the other, and I agree with what you guys are saying. It's data information as opposed to video information. But then one of the things that came up that I didn't have an answer for in the discussion was somebody was saying, well, remember back on Full Self-Driving Day a year ago, where all the engineers and all the experts that talked about it, and I forget the guy that worked at Tesla, I forget his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. He talked about how he was teaching the FSD computer what a dog was, and they would send back pictures of dogs.
Andrew Kaparthy.
And that's it, Andre Kaparthy. Yeah. So people were thinking that, okay, well, it sends back pictures of these.
So that's slightly different. So okay. Here's the so it is, but it isn't. So Tesla has the capability of sending the data back. Like my car has the capability of sending the data back to Tesla. Tesla will be looking for specific edge cases. So when they're trying to get smart stuff and they're looking for curbs. So if my cars are on a curb that they haven't seen before, my car would be a great example. So they'd want my images. So mine would be sent back to them, but not all the cars everywhere constantly would be sending them curb data because, again, that's way too much bandwidth. So the cars have the capability, but it's very specific to case by case, depending on what they're looking for at a given time.
Yeah.
I actually do quite a bit of tracking in terms of what my car sent back in terms of data, and like 90% of the time, it's very, very little. It's just text-based data that gets sent back. It's occasionally I can see like, it's larger chunks of data, and that might be because, hey, I want around something specific that they're looking for. So the capability is there. I just don't think they're doing it on a mass basis.
Right.
Which is a good thing for people that are paranoid about privacy and stuff like that, which is good. That's good. Good to know. We're finished with the topics. There was one other topic you guys might have seen in your list. We'll forget that when we'll do it next week or something. Unless you guys want to talk about it, unless you guys had your heart set on it. But if not, we'll just go to the viewer questions I got. We answered some of them as we were going along, but I got 3 emails that I want to get to because I promised those guys I'd answer them. So everyone cool with ignoring the last question or the last topic? Yeah, okay, cool. So once again, if you guys want a question asked or you want to ask a question, you want it answered on the podcast, just all you have to do is send an email to Tesla Talks Questions with an S at gmail.com, or leave it in any of the social media things I'm on: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even on YouTube. Leave it down here and I will get to it. Whoever I have on, if it's a specialty question, I'll try to get an expert on to answer it, and you might have to wait a week or two, but we'll get to it. So Aaron from Washington, this is our first question. He asked, first of all, he says, "Hey guys, great podcast." I guess he must have listened to the very first one and all the rest. Anyways, he says, "I'm just curious if you guys know why the Tesla stock has been on a tear for the last 2 days. Take care." So this is
I wish I knew. But.
Yeah. Well,
I think the whole tech sector's been up.
Yeah.
Amazon is up. Apple is up.
Oh, they're up too.
Oh yeah, everybody's up right now.
I
I
wonder.
don't know. I don't know why, but
I don't know if the government doing something, trying to
propping up companies.
Yeah. Who knows? Well, after this is all done, they're going to need to prop up some people.
If I can answer his question, I'd have
Please
a rooster ready to go. No, I said if I could answer his question. I don't know the stocks well enough to understand why they went up across the whole market and a pandemic. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like,
could be an announcement coming. Who knows, right?
But it's like what Trevor said, though. It's the whole tech industry that's up. So it's not just Tesla
Amazon
specific.
is up. Apple
Google's
is up.
Apple's up.
Netflix,
I believe Intel.
Netflix is up, way up. Everybody's up.
I think there were 2 things. Number one, Goldman initiated a buy rating for Tesla today. I can't remember where I read the article.
That'll do it.
And then also, I believe, because I'm not a huge stock guy either, so I don't know a lot about it, but I believe that this also has something to do with kind of not stimulus, but like, what we're trying to do to just help the economy. Something, I think it was, what's his name? Someone was talking about printing money and, what we're essentially trying to stimulate the market back. And so that's why we're seeing it not only in just Tesla, but we're seeing across the board and all the tech companies looking a little bit better than they have been the last couple of weeks. So it's all fine and dandy, but, I've been reading also about that, this whole stay at home and all this stuff is going to go for a while.
You're never paying back that debt.
So
did you guys?
Printer and we can print the money, but
you're never paying that debt back, man.
Okay, so I'll add in something that might support the whole tech industry increasing. So I know from my perspective, I've noticed like a 2 to 3 times, like we're talking 2 to 3 times more work than a normal month in terms of like tech related work.
23 trillion.
Was that sorry?
U.S. debt. It's 23 trillion. Never paying it back.
No, but no, I'm just saying, like, I noticed myself for like my work, which is freelance coding that I do on the side, and I've noticed like 2 to 3 times more the work on a normal month.
Really?
Yeah. So I think mainly I attribute it to people are home. What have you guys been doing at home? You're using technology constantly all the time. Servers are increasing. Google's search for the first time went down in X number of years.
Really?
So that alone should show you,
Traffic's
like,
way up.
yeah, traffic's
My
up,
internet's
like,
been flaky.
well, before we came on this podcast, I couldn't even get my green screen going because my internet was like being cambered. And so I think just the fact that traffic is increased so much, and it's just the whole tech industry that's going to be thriving, just because people still want something to do. They want to be entertained, and tech's such a huge portion of that, right? Like, think, what are we doing right now?
I know the answer.
I know there's been a lot of debate about whether you value Tesla as a tech company or you value them as an automobile manufacturer. So, I'm not going to get deep into that debate, but Tesla does sell cars, right? That's their end product. And I did read an article just a couple of days ago about how the bottom's going to fall out of the automobile prices. And obviously, that news wouldn't cause a stock to go up, but I'm wondering if Tesla is kind of going to be treated differently because of that association with tech versus a traditional automobile manufacturer, and if this price collapse happens with vehicles.
That's a great point, Paul, because I did read, it might have been the same article you read, but I read something where they attributed, possibly, because once again, nobody knows for sure why the stock is going up. But someone, and I forget where the article was, they attributed to possibly with this whole pandemic going on, people are realizing that EVs are more practical cars overall, whether it's because of the environment or what, or financial reasons. But that could be a reason why. I don't know.
Well, part
keep
of
time
it
will too, right?
I mean, in these uncertain
I was going to
times,
say that.
the first thing that people do is they stop spending money.
Well,
Right?
I think the China factory too helps, right?
Well, yeah. Well, that was my point. Is that here in North America, people are stopped spending money, but in China, things are starting to get a little more relaxed as far as the pandemic is concerned. And Tesla is still operating the Gigafactory, and that's what's floating the boat right now for those guys.
Yeah.
So I think for at least the next quarter, Shanghai is going to be the ticket to keep those guys profitable.
I swear to God, it happened last week and it happened a little bit the week before, but I swear to God, you guys can see what I'm queuing up for the next topic because
predictable.
Yeah, I don't know, is it on my face or what? But the next question comes from a guy on Twitter called Marty T at Marty T2 on Twitter. Anyways, he says, any insights into what else Tesla might be building in China besides the Model 3 and Y? Could be the Semi, or maybe solar roofs get built at Giga 3 as well? Thanks.
Semi's too low volume to bother with China. Those will be built in North America. Same thing with the Roadster.
Yeah.
You say the Model 2?
Yeah. Yes.
Wouldn't China be a huge market for the Semi?
I'm not saying it wouldn't be. I'm just saying for building it on the soil over there, I don't think it really makes any sense. Too low volume to bother an expansion specifically for that product. I mean, right now they're expanding for Y.
Is that what I was going to ask you when you're finished? I was going to say, I heard they're building something else right next to their main.
That's for Y.
Why? Okay.
That's why. Yeah.
Okay. Solar roof, maybe?
Well, the reason why I say it, I think it's for a new vehicle. I think that they could, look at a new vehicle because keep costs super cheap. And I think smaller vehicles will get higher adoption overseas, right? In Europe and in Italy and in China and all these places where space is limited and smaller parking spots. And we saw in Japan how it needs to go in this little elevator thing and it, stores the cars and stuff like that. So I think the vehicle will do extremely well over there. And if you can use the China factory to do it, why not? Save some money. Well,
we do know that Tesla is supposed to set up a Chinese design center so they can design a smaller worldwide car, not necessarily just for the China market.
On the
take Model
that with a grain of salt. Well, take that with a grain of salt, but
it's going to happen.
They have a lot of good designers over there, so they're going to design some stuff that's that we haven't even seen yet.
Yeah, and I don't know. We'll see. Let's finish up with one more question before we wrap it up, guys. This question I know is going to trigger Trevor.
Chrome deletes?
No, it's not. But
this is different.
By the way, thanks for your question, Aaron and Marty, the last two guys. Thanks for writing in your question. This one's from Rich S, and he emailed me a question saying, hi, I can't afford to get PPF and ceramic coating done all at once. So which do you think I should which do you think should be done, and should it be done on a full coverage of the car?
Raj, go first.
Because I know Trevor's answered this to death. So yeah, go ahead, Raj.
So I'll go with it because this was exactly my question when I got my vehicle. I wanted to get it all done, and I slowly ruled things out, and I'll tell you what I went with. So
Perfect.
So what I went with was I did PPF on just the front of my car. It's the highest impact area. PPF protects the paint. My last vehicle had a bunch of rock chips on the front, and I was just like, you know what? I don't want to have that on this car. It's the most expensive car that I've ever owned, and I want to protect that. Ceramic will not protect it against rock chips, and that's why I deprioritized ceramic. And I also looked at it as ceramic is one of those things that after about a year or two, when your car's looking all kind of gunky, you've lost a little bit of your clear coat, then you get it, kind of paint corrected, cleaned up, nice. Then you ceramic coat it and you just bring it back to like day one. So that's the way I look at that. Would I have done a full PPF on my entire vehicle? Sure, if I could have afforded it. But I was told many times that the other areas are not as high impact, and it's not 100% to prevent you from a door ding, which is one of my most important things. And so when I learned that, I was like, then why spend? And I'll quote, the place that was closest to me was 10 grand
US?
for the entire thing. Yes.
That's like 30 here in Canada. Wow,
now,
Jesus.
keep in mind, this is like the cream of the crop best place, but
Yeah.
it was a shell shocker after buying the most expensive car I've ever owned. So
Yeah, no, I hear you, buddy.
I'll add a couple things. If you're thinking about PPF and ceramic coat and you decide to do ceramic coat first, be aware that if you do PPF later on, the ceramic coat has to be stripped.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. So there's an extra expense. Do not confuse ceramic coat with protection. It only makes the car easier to wash. That's all it does. So if you can afford both, you do PPF first. Well, paint correction should be done on Teslas, period, because the paint always has issues. So paint correction should be as part of the PPF, and then you get your ceramic coat done on top. Ceramic coat doesn't last for absolutely forever, and neither does PPF. Most of them, PPF is usually rated for about 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes up to 10, depends on the warranty you get. Ceramic coats can be up to 5 years. What was I going to say? Also, the type of PPF you get done will also vary as well. Both Dax and myself have a stealth PPF that's put on there, and that material costs more than a gloss PPF. And it's a little less forgiving in the sense when the installer has to put it on, he has to do it extremely well, because any spots that he misses, the gloss will show through and it just ruins the complete look. Right? So it costs, so it definitely costs more to get stealth PPF. It looks amazing if that's the kind of thing you want, but expect to pay more for that. So
yeah, and it's a little bit, from what I've understood from my detailer, the stealth PPF is a little bit thicker in mils than the regular. And you have to get the whole car, because if you don't get the whole car, it looks stupid.
Oh no, of course, yeah. It's stealth, you got to do the whole car. So you're into 6,000-7,000 back easy.
I think I'm the only Tesla YouTuber who has not done PPF.
I was going to say.
Oh, you haven't?
Yes.
So I do have something to say about this, and to each his own, right? But for me, the math just didn't add up, right? In terms of, like it costs $7,000, $10,000 to get your car fully done, or whatever it is, $4,000 to just get your front. That's a lot of paint repair. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. So I know I'm rogue. I did not do it.
Ian has to get the whole front end of his car repainted.
Here's my take on it. I only plan to keep the car 7 years. Come the 7-year marker, I'm planning to flip it. With the robo-taxi coming, that might throw a wrench into my thought process, depending on if it actually happens or not, or regulations, obviously. But that was my original plan. So I looked into the cost, and I'm like, well, do I really want to put this kind of money into it if I plan to get rid of it at year 7? I know some people say it's going to help keep the value of the car, but do you think it really helps make up for the money that you're spending initially? So that was something I weighed on, and I opted not to go for it. But
I'll add one more thing about PPF, is that the only person who values PPF is the original owner. You go to sell your car, it's a sunk cost. Nobody wants to pay you extra because you have PPF on your car.
It's like a swimming pool.
Really? Good to know.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting because I thought you could use that as a selling feature. Like underneath this car, it's from day one brand new. Like, yeah, you're getting a 3 or 4 year old car.
Listen, any mods to your car mean nothing to the next owner.
Yep. I've been told time and time again. And so is
Raj knows.
It's words of wisdom.
I guess when you sold a car recently, yeah, it's fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
But you were saying, Trevor, about Ian, his car. Yeah, like he was saying.
Well, don't forget, Ian lives in Quebec. They put a lot of gravel on the road, not so much salt. They put a lot of sand on the road, and that just wreaks havoc on the side rails of the car, like on the bottom.
I've seen pictures, yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad. And the front end of his car was absolutely destroyed from the Canada run that we did because we just went, I mean, God, we did like 6,000 kilometers for crying out loud on all kinds of road and in the winter months. Now, keep in mind, his bumper was repainted. When he first got his car during transportation, they put a strap up against the front bumper and it rubbed off the paint. So he's had it repainted. So I don't know about the quality of the paint that was actually put on there in the beginning. So that could affected it. But yeah, the whole nose of his car is trashed. He needs to have it completely repainted. And he was asking me before we went on, well, should I get a PPF before we go? And I said, well, is it pretty rough right now? Yeah, it probably needs to be done. I says, don't waste your money. Just wait. So he wants to get it done, but he has to get it fixed first. So he's into major costs now.
The best thing I can think of is in terms of mods when you go to resell was Brian, I Won Tesla. When Dax had him on a couple of weeks ago, and he went to go sell his, and someone commented, "How are you going to sell that with a big hole in the back seat?"
Yeah, right? in that armrest. Yeah,
yeah.
He sold it.
He sold it, right? So I mean,
listen, I've been through a lot of cars over the years. Any mods or modifications, personalization to the car, like I said, is a sunk cost. Don't ever expect to get the money back.
Yeah. The car's not an investment unless you're buying them for robotaxi.
Unless you own a classic car like my dad does, they're a money pit. So
yeah, see, like that's the thing is like
robotaxi.
Like when robotaxi launches, then you're essentially selling something like, hey, listen, this is good to go. You can literally just buy it and start making money. Maybe you might see a little bit of a peak, to that value, but yeah, anything you do.
I would see a lot of people buying SR Pluses as a secondary car just to make money. I would certainly not let mine in the fleet.
Well, what if just what we're talking about? Paul and I had a big disagreement last week. I think it was last week. I don't know.
Could have been yesterday too.
Probably, I don't know. About the price of full self-driving, right? Because I said it's going to keep going up. Because if you can potentially make the money back from robotaxi, why would Tesla sell it to you at such a low cost? If they can deploy the fleet themselves and make back the money for robotaxi, right? So I don't know if people are going to even be able to go out and buy SR Pluses for robotaxi the minute it's up and running for a reasonable price, right?
Well, don't forget the leases in the U.S. have to go back to Tesla. You can't buy the car at the end of the lease, right?
Yeah, because they banked on themselves being ready to go.
But do you think at some point there might be, and I don't know if this is technically possible, but basically here's your FSD price for personal use, here's your FSD price for robotaxi? Right, because someone who's not going to put their car in the fleet, it's really expensive to buy FSD now.
I don't see Tesla making that distinction. What I would see them doing is offering a subscription model. I mean, Elon did say that they would consider doing that. I see that as the more valuable aspect.
Yeah,
that's just me though.
Yeah. They said too that if your car, I remember him mentioning it somewhere. It's hard to keep up because there's a lot of Tesla stuff everywhere, right? But I remember him saying somewhere along the lines where even if your car does not have full self-driving, but it has the hardware, they might still be able to enable it where you get like a smaller percentage or something because you didn't actually pay for the software, and Tesla still wants to be able to make profit off of the car, right? Because Tesla's still going to make money from the service running. But don't quote me on that fully.
Well, again, I think that's where the subscription model would make more sense.
What do you think a fair subscription price would be, like on a monthly basis?
$200-300 a month. I mean, you can make that back. I mean, a robotaxi, if you're going to do, I mean, talk to people who are doing Uber or Lyft. I mean,
but you said you would never put your car into
not my personal vehicle. No.
Yeah. So for your personal vehicle, which let's say it's a Tesla, what would you pay personally then for FSD.
I would expect to pay $200 to $300 a month as a subscription fee if I was to release it.
So just to give you an idea, I know I'm not going to mention their name obviously, but I know someone who does Uber in the GTA, and they just do it going to work.
I know too. I know, not me, but yeah, I know some.
They just do it going to work. So they'll bring someone from where they live in their area to work, and then they do the same thing coming home, and they make about $1,000 a week just driving out to their work anyway, because they're going from outside of the city to Toronto and then back, and they're looking at about $1,000 a week. I didn't believe it either.
I think you'd be foolish to think that Tesla's not looking at those possibility and numbers, and that's why we're seeing the FSD prices increase.
Yeah,
because they see it as like, this is a serious moneymaker for people.
So think about it this way, right? If it's, and it's not that I didn't believe him, but like when he actually started showing, I'm like, holy, this is amazing. Like, you know, when you actually get to physically see the app open, you see the numbers, like, wow, this is really impressive, right? But I think if you factor that in, I don't even know if like a couple $100 is even worth it to Tesla. In terms of like a monthly subscription fee, if they can actually make more than that through the robotaxi, right? But I mean, it's all up for interpretation until it actually happens. So
yeah, I agree. Raj, I noticed you gasped when you were in awe when you said $1,000.
Keep in mind, it's Canadian.
Yeah, that's like
$50. That's like $50 US.
$50 US, yes.
No, it's like $600 to $700 US, just from going from his house to his work and back. I mean, it is like a 40-minute drive, but he's doing it anyway.
Yeah, and you're not doing anything that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah. Back in the day, people would do that for free.
The only difference
is you just cough. You just cough.
He needs a drink. He's getting hoarse. He needs a drink.
The only difference, really, he said, is he wakes up an extra half hour earlier because depending on where the person is, and he comes home about a half hour later. So he's looking at an extra hour a day, 5 days a week for about $1,000. That's pretty good.
Is it the same customer?
Nope, different people every day.
Oh.
And I asked him, I'm like, so do you get a lot of questions about your Tesla? He goes, I have to make a pamphlet because the number of questions I get. And I'm like, do you talk to them about autopilot? He's like, I go like, we have to drive like half the trip. And when we're like halfway there, I tell him, so have you ever heard of autopilot? He goes, I can't freak him out and tell him right away. Otherwise they'll be like, what? The car's driving by itself? Right? And then he slowly, but it's true, right? And that's why I'm such a huge believer in robotaxi. Obviously, whenever it happens, it will eventually. But I don't know.
Time is a real thing.
Yeah, but I think the price of, and people are going to be shocked when the price of full self-driving goes into amounts that are way more than the hardware of the car because of the potential cost that it returns. But,
so us existing owners, then basically we can't trade in our car because we won't be able to afford full self-driving.
Matter of fact, when I get the Cybertruck, I'm not ordering FSD on it because I don't expect to use it for that.
See, that's what I was hoping to be able to transfer our FSD from like.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking about that, and you know, I think it makes sense for certain aspects, but you know, you have to remember it's a feature of the car; it's not a feature of the person. So if you sell the car, it has to stay with the car. I understand right now it's like, well, it doesn't exist. Why am I paying for it? And why do I have to pay for it a second time? Because it's not finished yet. But when it does become finished and it becomes a money-making opportunity, I think at that point people go, oh, yeah, it makes sense. But right now, yeah, I understand. It's painful.
Here's a question for you, Trevor. Your pre-order for your Cybertruck. Did you click on full self-driving?
No.
So...
I know if you want it, you should, because then you're guaranteed for the price for later.
Yeah, that's what I kind of want to
change. And you could just change your mind and drop it.
Yeah. No, exactly. But no, I decided not to.
Okay, so you want to know the trick? You place in 2 orders. You put one with FSD and one without, and then you decide later.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's $100.
I'd rather take the money and buy a camper, because that's the plan for the truck. Right, Dax?
You can have mine because I don't know if I'm going to get any use out of it this summer with everything closed.
Exactly. It's kind of a write-off. 2020 is a write-off as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, that was fun, guys. Thanks to everyone that joined us on the live stream, anyone that's listening to this, but especially thanks to, because we got to start with Raj because he came from so far to join us today. Sunny California. Thanks, Raj.
He's also time traveling because he's 3 hours before us.
Yeah.
He crossed the border to be here, right? He broke the law.
You know it's midnight here, right, Raj?
He's thinking about it.
I'm kidding, dude.
Gotcha.
I don't know days, no time. I have no
I know. I lost track of all my.
We all have, buddy. We all have. No, seriously. I've been saying. I think this is episode 11 or 12. I've lost count, just like days.
Can't
But
believe we're here.
Yeah, I've been saying, and I say that too. But I've been saying, I think at one point your name had come up in every episode for a while, saying that I needed to get you on. So thanks for finally coming on. Thanks for Trevor for loaning you out. This is what the joke was last week.
Hey, it's my first time too. So
yes, no, Trevor, and you know what? Let this be known. This is never your last time, guys. If you ever want to come back, I haven't gotten into an argument with you, so you can always come back. I'm just
Not yet,
in the good
anyway.
books. That's good.
Yes.
You don't want to get on Dax's bad side.
I
Trust me.
don't have a bad side.
We're
Trevor,
talking bad about the Cybertruck, and I don't know. You might not be invited back.
Trevor,
Ben
thanks
was
for
here. They
coming
would complain
back.
about Cybertruck
Thank-
anytime, guys.
Thanks for coming. And Franklin and Paul, like usual, thank you very much for helping me out on this. Raj, before we go, what do you want to plug for yourself?
Just youtube.com/TeslaRaj, or shoot me an email, raj@teslaraj.com, with any questions or anything like that. Just like to help.
Perfect. Any content coming out soon? Should we expect anything? Not to put you on the spot.
Probably another Y video. I think it's the last that I can dig up out of my my little box of tricks that was recorded well before.
Yeah,
Like,
perfect. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Trevor, where can people find you?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter. The handle is Tesla Owners Online, or Model 3 Owners, as you see below. Don't forget to check out the forum, TeslaOwnersOnline.com. And
Wealth of information there.
Yeah, that's about it.
You got any content dropping for us soon?
No, not right now. I think I'd like to take a bit of a break.
Break, yeah. Yep. No one would blame anyone in this time.
I mean, it could change. Tomorrow I could wake up with an idea.
Yeah.
But right now, no.
Yeah.
When I get the text from Trevor, I got an idea. I'm like, content's coming.
Yeah, I always let Raj know.
Paul, where
Yeah,
can people find you, buddy?
YouTube.com/Tesla Canuck, basically Tesla Canuck on any social media. I'm kind of on hiatus as far as video making goes. It's been about 2 weeks now, and I'm like with Trev, I'm just taking a little bit of a break.
Nothing wrong with that, buddy.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
But soon.
Yes. Well, that's fine for you and Trevor, and me too. I'm taking a little bit of a break. Franklin will make up for us. Franklin, where can people
He's been
find you?
prolific.
M Frunker on Twitter, Mother Frunker on YouTube. I also want to give someone else a shout out because he doesn't do it. Go check out Dax Tesla Talks on Twitter, Tesla Talks Dax M on YouTube, because he always skips himself and he never does it. So
I don't need to, but I thought you were going to say something else. You are the proud new owner of I don't know if you've got them yet, but you were proud new owner of some die casts.
yeah, I got the whole fleet of
You
them.
made
now.
that happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bought the semi for my birthday, and then I put out within the video that I did. I'm like, if I get 100 likes, I'll buy the rest of them. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was more of a joke, right? And then Dax, of course, is like, let me start this whole thing. And then Trevor goes and retweets it.
That was the end of that.
That cost you a lot of money, didn't it?
Next thing I know, it got up to 80 in the first like four hours or something. I was like, all right. So I already placed my order even before I hit the 100 marker, just because I knew it was going to happen. So,
And can we ask what the total number was?
for cost?
Yeah, cost-wise?
So including the semi, and I bought the roadster before. If you total them all up, it's about 2,000 or close to.
Wow.
Canadian, Raj, Canadian.
Canadian. In the last, so basically my birthday was like a $1,500 birthday gift to myself.
Very nice.
What it
Good
worked out
for
to be.
you.
You got to treat yourself.
Yeah. Hey,
So it was cool though.
I got lots of Lego.
yes. We have to treat ourselves once in a while, right, guys? Yeah.
Yeah. I've been messing around. I've tried submitting a Frunk puppy photo because I opened up the Frunks of all of them and put in like little plastic dogs inside of all of them and
Yeah.
submitted it through. And Earl got a good kick out of that. But
Cool.
yeah, no, it was cool.
Nice.
Sweet. Well, thanks, guys. We are at past the 1:30 hour and 30 mark, and I like to keep it short. So this is as long as we're gonna get. Thanks very much for joining us, guys, and we will talk to you later. See you. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.